Hello, welcome to the Inspiring Movie Club. We are Uriel and Carmina. We are Nova Pangia, and we are very happy um, to have the panel. Today's panel is Interstellar movie. It's about Interstellar movie, and as always, we have our great friend, beautiful friend, Nikita Hatangari. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
We're so pleased to have you every week. Um, but tonight we are going to talk about Interstellar. Do you like it?
Oh my God, I loved it. I had heard so
There's
much about it and I never watched it. And thanks to Nova Pangia, my favorite band, I got
oh,
to
thank
watch it.
thank
Well,
you.
that's great. We have the trailer right here ready for you. You ready?
hmm
Okay, let's just watch
Let's
it.
watch it.
Little late, Coop.
Yeah, we had a flash.
It's an Indian surveillance drone. Solar cells power an entire farm.
What'd you do, Murph?
She didn't do nothing.
Murphy's Law. You're a well-educated man, Coop, and a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers. We didn't run out of planes and television sets. We ran out of food.
Dad, why did you name me after something that's bad?
No, we didn't.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means that whatever can happen will happen.
We must confront the reality that nothing in our solar system can help us.
Now you need to tell me what your plan is to save the world.
We're not meant to save the world. We're meant to leave it. And this is the mission we were trained for.
I've got kids, Professor.
Get out there and save them.
I have no idea when you're coming back.
I'm coming back.
We must reach far beyond our own lifespans. We must think not as individuals, but as a species. We must confront the reality of interstellar travel.
Murph, I love you. Forever. I'm coming back.
All right.
Amazing story.
So, why don't you start, Nikita, with your comments? What I think you wanted to focus on time. What is the representation of time?
Yeah, I first of all, I think it's a really great movie. It's a very expensive movie, it cost 165 million
Wow.
to make it. That was their budget, but then they ended up earning like over 700 million.
Yeah.
So that's good. They recouped their money.
And I'm part of it too. We bought the Blu-ray
Yes.
too.
It is really well written, really well directed. I think it's so nice to see that they talked about science, it's so that the public can learn about all these science concepts, which I thought was really neat. The thing that I really loved about the film, and a concept that was very, very important, was the concept of time. The world that we live in, we see 3 dimensions, right? And everything that we do is based on those 3 dimensions. But there's also this dimension of time, and the way that they have shown it is that in our world we have control over the 3 dimensions, whether we're moving left to right, front, back, or up and down.
Hmm.
We have control over that. That's how we build buildings and make roads and move around. But the fourth dimension, which is time, is something we have no control over, because you can only live in the present moment. You can't go to the past. You can't go to the future. You can only remember the past and dream about the future. But you are stuck in this present moment. So, what was so interesting in this movie is that you are able to go, you do have some freedom with the dimension of time where you're going back and forth. In the film, however, they do say that we have no control over what happens in in those different times. So like you can go to the past and see it and experience it, but you can't change it. And so I thought that was really phenomenal. And um, sometimes when I watched the film, I thought there are many times in my life when I have a premonition of something that's going to happen. Is that really just a premonition? Or is it my future self looking back and telling me that something's going to happen?
Well, it's one of those. I'm sorry, you're done. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Because that's a good question. I mean, that is one of the reasons why I thought the meaning of time is different here in space, and we
Yeah,
kind of know that. I mean, you learn that at school, right, and through books and everything. But
right.
what you mentioned right now is, and we have a scientist actually to join us today. It's not Estrella. Estrella didn't make it today,
Uh-huh.
but we have another a scientific person to join the panel in a way. You'll see him in a minute. But I think it is important how the boundaries of those dimensions that you're talking about, that we're confined to those four axes, if you will.
Hmm.
And that's all we know. That's all we have. And
Yeah, but in another universe, or when we discover how to work with the fourth dimension of time, can we actually go back and forth and see? Now we may not be able to change things from the past because it's happened, but will we be able to go into the future and see what direction we are headed, and can we make those changes? So again, like when I have a premonition, like one time I was going somewhere with my son when he was just 2, and we follow the same path every day for a walk, but suddenly we went out and he said, no, 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 bad, bad, bad. And I couldn't understand what he was talking about. And, he kept running back to the house. So I finally picked him up and I said, what's going on? A few seconds later, I saw a car coming,
Mhm.
and these people got out of the car and started screaming at us. And we were so scared. We didn't know what they were going to do. So we ran into the house. Now, if I hadn't listened to if my son didn't have this premonition, we would have walked along. So is that premonition just something that we get, or is it a future self? That's something that I thought about after I watched the movie. And I thought that was just amazing of how you
And
could go into the future or the past.
yeah,
and maybe it has to do with feelings, right? With emotion, and it's something that also the movie talks about, the love, right? I don't know,
Yeah,
is it has something to do with that because it's like and it happens to me, my mom and me all the time, because we love so much each other, and sometimes I feel something is wrong, and I call her and she says, oh, I was about to call you because I'm in troubles, or I mean, it happens like both sides.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
the timing,
yeah. I
why
mean,
is it
you
happening?
kind of I want to talk about that a little bit later. I mean, because I think the conversation that these scientists have, deciding of what's going to be the next plan. I think it's really remarkable when they start talking about love and how love is able to transcend dimensions and time, and gravity. Which we haven't been able to figure it out yet. And to me, that's the best part of the movie. I mean, there are like 100 best upper parts, right? But to me, that was one of those big moments when I say, yeah, I mean, maybe they're right. maybe there's something that we just don't know. We've been trying to have interpretations through art, through actions, through music, through
Yeah.
poetry,
To science.
through science, and even through architectural, skills and whatever you call it, love and passion. But I think the fact that, yeah, I agree, the fact that you still attached to people who probably passed a year ago, maybe this year, to COVID, whatever that is, and you still attached to that emotion in a way, it's transcending time and space, because you can go back to it and relive the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we only know what we know because we just live on this earth, but there are millions of galaxies and universes, and also we see time as time begins and time ends.
Mhm.
But
Linear.
really, if you think about the way the universe works, scientists will tell you that, okay, there was, the Big Bang Theory, something busted and this universe was created. What was before the Big Bang Theory? What was there
Mhm.
before that caused that explosion? There had to have been something, right? You don't
Right.
get an explosion without something.
Hmm.
So, and what happens if this universe gets sucked into a really huge black hole, which they also talk about
Hmm.
in the movie? Um, what'll happen after that? So, really, there's no such thing as time. It's just we see it that way because we live in this earth with these three dimensions that we know about, and we know that there's a thing as time, but there really is no such thing as time. When they talk
Well,
about gargantua, oh,
Gargantua,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
When they say 1 hour on gargantua is 7 years on Earth, so there's a difference in time there, based on gravitational forces. But again, is there such a thing as time, or is it just that because we live in a finite life that we see things through time?
Mhm.
Yeah, and just go back a little bit about the Big Bang theory. I mean, there's these quantum mechanics, theory that is actually, you can see an atom right here, and then suddenly it disappears and appears somewhere else. That's more
Yeah,
the concept of the God molecule, idea. But when it comes to bringing that concept back to Earth, in a way, is something that I was just telling Carmine in the morning. Okay, we don't have the knowledge yet to probably go there. Even if we have the knowledge, we don't have the capabilities to actually be and that speed and survive that pressure and everything. Yet all we have is here. What you said is right. It's all we know. And the decisions that we make right now, right here, are the
Mhm.
decisions that they're gonna decide if there's gonna be a future, future for the rest of us. For your kids, for your kids. I mean, and that's what I think this movie is important in a way, because it's a little bit of a insight of, okay, look what happened. I mean, speaking about the concept of the movie, right? Look at what happened if we don't pay attention to our own decisions. I mean, look what happened
right,
in Turkey right now. All the wildfires in Turkey, wildfires in California, and that dust is actually moving away from all the way to the other side of the country. Look what happened in Germany, in other countries, in
Floods.
the
Mhm.
floods in Europe. Look what happens with Greenland. The iceberg that actually is now affecting Phoenix, is going to affect also Miami. I mean, Florida, in the heat waves that we're getting right now. I mean, it's just happening, and sometimes I feel like, why people still denying, what's really what you're really feeling, what's affecting you right now.
well, yeah, I mean, whatever we do now, we will sooner or later see the effects of it. So, and I think in that movie also, when Joseph comes back and sees the past, and he's like, don't, well, I'm sorry if I'm disclosing something, but
Sure.
what he's saying, hey, don't do that. I think um that's really important for us to know that hey, everything that I'm doing, every single decision that I take is going to affect someone in the future. So I think it was brilliantly shown in this film, um how important time is and how limited our time is. So we better make the best use of it.
Right.
And we can't think that, we are all that and more, because there are many other universes out there, and maybe they have figured out how to use the fourth dimension of time, and how to use black holes and wormholes and all these other wonderful concepts that they talk about that we don't know
That
how to
we
use.
haven't figured out yet. Now,
Yeah.
there's another thing. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to share some images, and see if you guys can see the relationship to the movie. Okay, so let me go back here and show you
In the meantime, I'm going to
this.
say hi to Cohen's Productions. Thank you very much for joining us. El señor Oroña, muchísimas gracias por vernos. All your comments are more than welcome. So feel free to share with us your comments about this movie, or what do you think about these topics. Both English, Spanish is okay.
All right, here we go. Madam. So this apparently this happened 7 days ago.
Hmm.
Does it look like the movie that we just saw?
Mhm. Yeah, it is exactly like that.
So, Nikita, what do you think about our actions right now? I mean, there are billionaires going into space. You know, there are these people. You know, they're not science. They're not scientists. They're not. I don't know if they even believe in science or not. But I mean, they're going up there. To me, with no purpose. I mean, to help other people other than their egos, and and spending money that you know literally, Jeff Bezos said, thank you to people like Uriel who's spending money, buying or watching movies or something. I mean, what is your take on these kind of comments? I mean, because they're not really serving the humanity. I mean, what do you think about these travels, these trips?
Well, I think if people are going to be taking trips to outer space and they have lots of money and they're going to be giving money to do that, if that money is put to good use, um,
Well,
then
it's Jeff
wonderful.
Bezos. I
If
mean,
if if that money is not being put to good use, um, then I think we need to focus on our Earth right now, because that's
mhm.
for us. That's that's our world. And so we need to focus on humanitarian projects that are going to help us with the suffering, which we have plenty of suffering. So we need to focus on that first. If, however, there are billionaires who are going to give money to be able to go and get their thrill, if that money is going to be utilized properly to serve humanity, then okay.
Well,
But
Jeff Bezos offered $2 billion to NASA to put people to make trips to the moon. So
mm,
they're using Blue Origin and NASA as well. I mean, let's see what NASA said. Okay, I mean, if they take the money, but I mean, it's a billionaire. I mean, I'm not talking mean about these people, but I mean, it's like where is this? Where's the meaning? I mean, they haven't explained exactly what happened after the trip. If there's any, I mean,
mm,
even if the other guy, Burnson, I mean, you ask him, okay, how does it feel? I mean, this 80-year-old kid, ask him, okay, how does it feel? Well, the question was, how does it feel to be out there? How does the Earth looks like? And this guy, his response was, well, I have no words. Have you watched E.T.? Have you watched it? That was his answer. He said, watch that movie. It's pretty cool. Okay, next. He's like, really? That's how you want to encourage people to look up there and see, okay, I want to be up there or something? I don't know. I just feel that it's not it's not clear to me. I mean, even in the movie, going back to the movie, NASA lied. I mean, through Dr. Brand, even to his
in
own
the movie,
daughter,
yeah.
with for his own agenda. And
Yeah. And I think it's all this stuff will come back.
Yes, there were no plan A or plan B.
No, it was not plan B.
So ultimately, it was just humanity needs to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, the thing is that these similarities, when I watched this film in 2014, I guess I was that 2014. I was not that impacted like to. I mean, last weekend that I watched this movie for the second time, I was like, oh, we're really living this very close. That was my feeling
Where science,
when I yeah
a sci-fi film.
how close we are
Mhm.
to you know to make this earth die. I mean, to die everybody here, right? But
Remember, according to the movie, we're not meant to save the Earth. We're meant to
yes,
leave
so
Earth.
we hope. I hope that we do not, you know, just wait till that moment happens. I mean, some nature events are happening very similar that we saw we watched in the movie, but I think this movie, to me, it's a reminder that we really need to take care of the earth. And if we're going out of space, it's okay. I mean, it's okay because we're curious. We really want to know what else is outside this earth, but also the impact that you're going to do by going outside. I mean, what purpose we have. I think that if we are going to destroy the earth and then go outside, that's not going to like it's not going to promise us that the other planet is
Yeah.
going to be safe with us.
Well, just keep in
I
mind
agree.
that we're sending humans. So, I mean,
Yeah.
who's
If
gonna
we
go?
destroy this,
I mean, if we exactly we destroyed this,
now we go
what do you?
someplace else and destroy that too.
We're gonna trash another planet because you know what? It's not where you go.
It's not a good
It's who
practice.
you are
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
species. I mean, if you trash this planet, this beautiful blue and green and multicolor, multi-branded, multicellular living being, you're sending the same people that are destroying this planet over there. I mean,
Mm.
where are the odds? I mean, that's really a question for me to every people out there. I've also heard comments, well, it's also a way that the United States taking the lead. Really? It's taking, I mean, now they play the patriotic, the proud USA thing, but really? I mean, if you look in the streets, I mean, today we were watching the news. We don't really watch a lot of news, but there were actually, what, 11 million people who are facing evictions.
Hmm.
The amount of homeless increased in this country alone. I mean, we have children with no food. I mean, we're still seeing a lot of things that is like, do we really need to go up there and try to fix something that is not
Well,
fixable anyway?
we've been suffering with COVID for 18, 19 months now. And if
Hmm.
we haven't learned how to come together,
We
as a
haven't.
global family through a crisis like this, I mean, what's to say that another crisis isn't going to teach us something? Is Mother Nature trying to teach us, or are, um, the results of our past actions, are they trying to teach us something? But why are we not taking these hints, and these very big hints, and these
Hmm.
big problems, to recognize that we really need to work together?
Exactly.
We can't be
I
saying that, this is my country and this is the only country I care about. We
no.
are a global family. We need to, if
The
there is a
world is
problem,
rounded for a reason.
yeah, if there is a problem happening halfway across the world, it's our problem too,
That's how COVID started.
right?
Is
It's
it?
our problem too.
You go and help him. Wherever the country is, you just go and help because you're a human being, but also because you need to tackle those issues when there's time. Now,
Right.
let's just see what Tyler he's not gonna able to be here. He's driving, so we hope he's not watching. He said it's just
Please, Tyler, don't watch
yeah,
it.
but don't
Watch the
Drive
road.
safe.
don't look at you. Watch the road, man. Watch the road. So okay, here's
His comments.
a video with his comments.
Good evening, everybody. This is Tyler. What a movie that was, Interstellar. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of sci-fi, but this award-winning movie was phenomenal. There's a lot of interesting moral concepts in this movie, as you can imagine, but the main one that has my attention is that concept of the greater good. What is the greater good of society, of mankind, is kind of interesting. Whenever you look at this movie, obviously they were sent out into outer space, Cooper and Professor Brand's daughter, and they were sent out into space kind of without knowing much about the mission, and they agreed and went out. And flash forward in the movie, whenever they had that encounter with man out on the other planet, that guy played by Matt Damon, that's when things started to take a turn, because they realized that their mission wasn't even going to allow them to come back to Earth. They realized that Professor Brand put up a giant smoke screen so that their morals won't overpower that need for a greater good of humanity. Obviously, Earth is crumbling and deteriorating behind them. So their job was to go out in outer space and make some, have some unfertilized embryos and kind of restore mankind outside of planet Earth. Now, whenever this change happened with Matt Damon's character, you can see the two distinct sides of the greater good of society. One where Cooper, he is so insistent on getting back home. He wants to get back home for his own morals. Obviously, he has a daughter who wants to see him. But meanwhile, man, who has been out on that planet for who knows how long, he is doing everything in his absolute power to stop Cooper from going back home so they can carry on with a mission for the greater good of humanity. Now, this is interesting because you see two extreme sides of this theory. Two people who are wanting to take this theory to the extremes. So I find that really interesting. All throughout mankind, we've always had the same question. Is risking one life good, even if it saves a whole entire mankind? Obviously to the rest of mankind, that's a good thing, but to that one person, in this case, it's Coop and Professor Brand's daughter, is it really worth it to them? And then you get to the end of the movie where Cooper he goes into the wormhole and he ends up going to the black hole. Did he complete the mission though? Did he actually succeed with that mission? If you're asking me, I don't think so. I don't think he actually completed the mission that he was sent there for. I think he completed a personal message, a personal mission that he wanted to see what that thing was and have some sort of connection with his daughter. And so I get it how it ties in, but I don't think he actually completed the mission that he was sent there to do. And that's why you see him going back out into space at the end of the movie, because it's not yet done. So I think this was a really great movie. Definitely one of my favorite movies probably now. But that concept of greater good of society, I think that's just phenomenal. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Tyler.
Well, there you have it. I think you got a good point. I mean, one of the reasons why Cooper comes back is because, of his daughter, who's actually, older than him. But again, he goes back there. The new mission, I think, is the mission of finding love and someone who was left behind, Dr. Brad, too. Do you want to ask a scientist a question, Nikita?
Do I want to ask the scientist a question?
Yeah, we brought a scientist to our show. You want to see him?
Yes, I do.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
So thank you, Leonita. Thank you for watching.
I am not ashamed to admit I am completely starstruck to be here standing next to
Well,
you.
thank you.
I'm such a big fan of yours. And I have been following your thoughts on Interstellar on Twitter, but since this forum allows us more than 140 characters,
Yes,
I
it
thought
does.
we'd play around with that. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely, completely not plausible, 10 being very realistic, where would you place Interstellar on that scale?
I would say that the science was ambitious, and the science that they tackled, black holes, wormholes, relativistic time dilation, I mean, they went all out for that. And so I'd give it an 8 or 9 out of 10 on this.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Well, they had a real advisor, a real science advisor, who was also executive producer. And his name is Professor Kip Thorne, and he's a friend of mine, and he's an expert on Einstein's general theory of relativity.
These tidal waves that we've been seeing in the trailers and the promotional materials, could that actually happen on a planet?
When I first saw it, I said, wait a minute, if you have a wave, that wave needs water that would otherwise surround it, such as in a tsunami. And they're in low level water, they're like wading there, but the wave comes and that water level doesn't change until the wave comes. I said, that's not real. And then I read Kip Thorne's companion book, The Science of Interstellar, and he made it clear that these waves are literal tidal waves. They're not tsunamis. And what's a tidal wave? It's a bulge in the water that surrounds the planet. And that bulge is created by strong tidal forces from the outside. In this case, a black hole. This planet is orbiting a black hole. And so what actually happens in a tidal wave is that the solid planet rotates in and out of the wave. So it looks like the wave is coming to you, but in fact, you're being rotated towards it. That's true even if you're on the shores on Earth. You say, oh, the tide is coming in, the tide is coming out. No, you're rotating under a tidal bulge of water that is fixed in space around Earth, angled towards near where the moon and the sun are at any given time. So I said, fine. Now, the tidal wave was a little spiky, and real tidal bulges are kind of more round than that, but I'll give it to them. I'm a fan of Mark Twain once said, first get your facts straight, then distort them at your leisure. So I'm saying, okay, you want to wave and you want to make it exciting, go for it. Because otherwise they would have just all sort of bobbed up and then bobbed down like a duck on a wave that went by, and that wouldn't make an interesting scene. So I actually will personally grant a movie creative latitude, provided they started with the right idea, and then have fun with it. Go for it.
This idea of wormholes, can they exist naturally, or does it have to be placed there by some species?
Yeah, or it's some alien with far more intelligence and power over space-time than we have. So we think we understand the mathematics and physics of wormholes. We can write down the equations to create one, but we don't know how to make one otherwise. We don't have the control over matter and energy, because what is a wormhole? It is a particular distortion of space and time that allows you to sort of pass through a tear, a portal from where you are in this part of the universe to another part without actually having to take the whole journey. Imagine taking a sheet of paper and folding it.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get from here to there, and you fold it, and then you just take a little portal right there. That's the wormhole. Okay. Then you unfold it and say, hey, I crossed the entire diameter of the galaxy during the TV commercial or whatever, whenever you'd be doing this. So that's what a wormhole would do for you. And it'd be really useful for any science fiction storytelling. And because they were properly advised in Interstellar, they got the physics of that right. As you come upon a wormhole, what would that look like? And you'd see this sort of distortion in space. And it's a hole in any direction you approach it. That's the freaky part. When we think of holes, you think of like a hole you would step into and fall through and come out the other side. Well, in this case, you are coming out the other side, but it's in another dimension. So you can fall into you would enter a wormhole from any direction at all and disappear and show up somewhere else. That's what's cool about it.
In the film, we see Matthew McConaughey's character come out of a black hole alive in one piece. From what I understand about black holes, and my knowledge is very minimal, I didn't think that was possible. Is that possible?
Well, black holes are bad no matter what. All right. You should, if there's a black hole there and not over here, go there instead. Go where there isn't a black hole.
Yes.
So what I found was odd was the fact that they found planets that might serve as replacements for Earth orbiting black holes. I'm thinking, no, we already have 1,000 planet candidates in our catalog, none of which are orbiting black holes, and many of which look better than the ones portrayed in the film. So I don't think there's any universe in which we're going to have to go to a black hole planet in order to save Earth. But of course, that added more drama to the storytelling. If you're in a planet orbiting a black hole, you're deep in what we say is the gravitational well of the black hole. And the deeper down you are in it, the slower your time ticks relative to everybody else. So then you get this time dilation effect, it's called. Yeah.
And we saw an extreme amount of time pass while he was in that black hole and around that black hole.
Correct.
Could that actually happen?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it happens all the time. We can measure this. In fact, it happens daily.
No.
GPS satellites orbiting high above Earth are farther away from Earth's gravity than we are on the surface.
Okay.
It is in a different time reference frame than we are. And you calculate what that difference is using Einstein's equations of general relativity. And GPS satellites are pre-corrected when they beam the time down to us to compensate for relativity.
So it's happening all around us.
All around us. All around us. The timekeeping is so precise that even for something as measly as Earth and its weak gravitational field relative to a black hole, this effect is still there. And we can measure it and we compensate for it in our daily communication with the GPS satellites.
Hello, are you there, Nikita?
Yes.
Okay, we can go on and on with Mr. Tyson. Do you see the reporter face when he was talking about the wormhole? He was like, I probably was just doing the same face, like, where is it? Where is it? So all this complexity of concepts, going back to your concept of time, well, there you have it. That's also the explanation.
Yeah, and it's the gravitational pull that measures how we measure time, I guess, is what he's trying to say. But again, we are experiencing things because we are living a finite life. So we have time. Maybe there are galaxies and universes out there that have learned to work with that fourth dimension, and they can go back and forth in time. What's interesting though is if one person makes one small change to what they did in the past, let's say we could go back in the past and I could change one thing, the whole universe would be different when I come back to the present time, because my one change in a decision would change everything. What about that one person? Or let's say the COVID virus, let's just say it was made in a lab. Let's just say, I'm not saying, let's just pretend. And one person put it out there. If that one person hadn't put it out there, our world would be different today. That one thing. If we went back in time and we moved and we said, hey, we're going to undo what that person did, then everything in the universe would have changed.
Yeah, but remember, there's in the movie when they're talking about the rack of events, when he's seeing, his daughter. So, and if you watch the entire interview with Mr. Tyson, what he's saying is that in order for when he's looking at Murphy, and Murphy's pleading, his dad not to leave, and if he wouldn't stayed, he wouldn't be able to actually move the books. So in order for this to happen, he needs to actually go with the curse of the story.
Having done it. Yeah.
And so one thing that we learned out of these parallel universe is that even though you have the capabilities to look inside of the rack of time, there's no way you can change it.
Yeah, you can't change it.
So all we know, again, as we go back here, All we know is here. So this is the kind of movie that actually, calls for a question. Okay, are we doing the right thing? Going back to what you said, Carmina,
Hmm.
are we doing the right thing? Everybody knows what they're doing right or wrong, unless you suffer by dementia or any other mental health issue. But I mean, normal people, they don't have that problem. Um, with all the respect, right? But we know at the end of the day, you have that little voice. You call it conscience. You call it angels. You call it whatever you call it. But you know what you did is wrong. Yet people continue to doing it. I mean, I put myself the same way. I mean, we all humans. We all make mistakes. We all compilation of mistakes and good things and bad things. Um, but also, that brings me back to the final part of the panel, which is the concept of love. And it's why so hard to be loving and kind. You said that, Nikita, and you also mentioned that, Carmina. Why coming out of COVID, at least, we did a show, we did Together Harmony shows for over a year. I
Hmm.
mean, there were thousands of people who actually, watching our shows and engaging and saying good vibes and everything. So Carmina and I, and then you were there too. I mean, we
Hmm.
thought that we built a community of, and we did. I mean, we did. I'm saying that we didn't, but I mean, we all believe that after COVID, we we're gonna have actually a different experience. Different ways of treating each other. And I don't know if we're there yet. I don't want to be pessimist. I don't want to be on the bad side or on the downside of it. But sometimes I feel that didn't learn a lesson. I mean, what else do we need to see? I mean,
I,
obviously, the Earth is getting tired of us. I mean, somehow
well,
the
I
Earth is
think
saying,
it's because we're not really connecting with everybody else, right? We're just in our own little, like, there's a story about how there's a 12-story building and there's somebody living on the 10th floor. There's a fire on the first floor.
Hmm.
The people on the 10th floor are like, that's not my problem,
it
Right.
is. It
right?
kind of is.
And why should I go and help them? It's not happening on my floor.
Hmm.
And what they're not seeing is if the first floor burns down, the whole building will burn down. The
Well,
whole building will fall, right?
we saw the same thing in Florida. So that's exactly what happened. But in this case, I think it was water
Yeah.
that kind of messed up with the construction of the
Hmm.
building, and the whole thing came down in a fraction of seconds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people died. So
Absolutely. So we are connected to every single person on the planet, but we are not seeing that. We just see ourselves as being, okay, this is me, this is what I need,
Hmm.
me, 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 me. Um, and so we're not learning our lessons, because even when you turn on the news and you're like, oh, something happened 10,000 miles away, oh, that's their problem.
yeah, I
And
heard
actually,
that.
you both told me once, you said, if one child dies of hunger in a country 10,000 miles away, we are responsible for it.
I believe
Yes.
so. I mean, I mean, it's happening in our time.
Yes.
I mean, whatever's happening in India too. I mean, I've heard a comment. Someone said that, with all these things with the new variation of COVID hit India. I'm probably they're still suffering. I mean, and I saw it on social media. I mean, they say, "Well, who cares? It's India." I mean, how can you respond to a person like this? I mean,
Well,
if
the Delta variant started there, but right now in the United States, it is that same Delta variant
Hmm.
that is killing more people.
Mhm.
In many of the new COVID cases that are coming up in the United States are due to the Delta variant of COVID, and it started there. So if you don't care about what happened to the Delta variant there, you've really misunderstood the whole situation, because so many people here are dying from that Delta variant.
I don't think we got it yet, Nikita. I'm speaking as human species.
Yes, it seems like we have. Yeah, we are all are connected. We can see
Absolutely.
that. We can see that if we, like you said, Uriel. There's fires in California now. In the other coast, it's coming the pollution, right? And
Right.
and also, well, the thing is that we are living, even we're living the space and time, for let's say like that.
Exactly.
We as an individuals, we have different timing to respond,
Mhm.
different timing of processing the information because of our own experiences. We don't have to wait till we we live the same experiences to respond. I think that we need to be more compassionate, much more compassionate. I'm sorry, and just I'm not saying that you need to watch the TV all the time and see what is happening,
Sure.
but just it's something that when you just I told my students, I remember when this storm hit in Dallas, and the snow storm, and I asked them, like, did you realize
You see.
2 weeks ago, I mean 2 weeks before the storm, what happened with animals, I mean with the squirrels and birds, and they were like, what are you talking about? Yes, if you look at the behavior in animals, like squirrels, they were all the time, all day long, they were working, they were just grabbing the nuts and grabbing the food. And I was like wondering what is going what is going on. I mean, something is going to happen. And this, I
Yeah.
learned this because in Mexico City the earthquakes are very common, and also you can watch the, by looking at the sky, the colors,
Mhm.
by looking at the behavior of dogs, your pets.
Yeah, you can anticipate.
They anticipate
And
what is
elephants,
coming.
actually, they're really good to anticipate that.
So we are all connected. We need to, like, observe. And yeah, my students were like, what are you talking about?
Hey,
Then you see watch the news here, right, in my cell phone. Yeah, but
you said something about the time, and that brings me back to the movie when Dr. Brad said, "Hey, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of time." So it's how much time do we have to fix what we actually did wrong, and how
Yeah.
much time do others have, that they were actually responsible for, not allowing them to continue living. So it's all us versus me, and that's what we
Mm.
we did discover. Nikita, you probably remember this song. um so we want to always kind of bring a little bit of the musical part of it. So
Oh
let's
yeah.
see.
there's something that you want to say, Nikita? Big.
This song is about love, actually.
Oh, good. Good.
Okay, so we're going to
But
the
you want to say something before we go to the movies, to the
song.
song about love in the movie, love right now.
Oh, about love. Yeah. No, we'll just go to the song. I thought you were asking about time. One thing that you said was, if you just look at elderly people, they will tell you that their life has gone from childhood to old age in a flash,
Hmm.
right? Like time passed so quickly.
Mhm.
So if you need to do something, do it now. Don't wait till later.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's go ahead with your lovely song.
Well, it's not our song, it's a cover, but I think it's proper for the movie. Here we go.
No.
I guess
There.
can you hear the song, Nikita? Can you hear the music?
No, I can't.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought. Okay, well, we're gonna skip that part. We weren't able to actually to figure it out.
If you share the audio. in the
Yeah, well,
settings.
but this is a clip.
Mm.
Remember? All right, so we wanted to surprise you with this song. It's a cover. We want to probably upload it in YouTube
In
later.
YouTube, yes. Well, the thing is that Euro's iPad
Yeah, my iPad broke, so
broke. So,
Oh,
yeah,
so
it's being
it's like
fixed, so it's kind
this.
of hard to do it in a different platform. Anyway, so to conclude the panel today, do you recommend this movie, Nikita?
oh my God, yes.
You haven't seen it? I thought
I
you've
had
seen it
not
before.
seen it, and that's why I said thanks to my favorite band, I got to watch it.
All
Um,
right.
Thanks to
yeah,
you.
What do you think
what a great
about the
movie.
music though? It was composed by a good friend of mine, Hans Zimmer. I wish. What do you think about the music?
Beautiful. I mean, very, very powerful. Perfectly fits the whole story. So, but you should talk about the music.
Yeah, briefly. I mean, I one of the things I noticed, and he also mentioned in his one of his interviews, is that he wanted to choose an instrument for that kind of represents the grandiosity of Earth, of humankind, and the universe. And then you start looking at instruments. Your first take might probably be a tuba, or double bass, or a drum, or a guitar, or something. No, he picked the organ. The one of those big churches organs. There actually was wall to wall, and he actually performed. He actually had the organist playing in that kind of instrument. So that's why when he composed that song, I mean that score, he had the greatness of humanity into one single instrument. I mean, along
Um,
with all the harmonies that he uses and all the instrumentation and everything. One thing that I really like about this musician is that he understands the power of silence. And there's a moment where Cooper is talking to his daughter, to
mm,
Murphy, and then when he's about to hear the last thing that's important, the music builds up, and then boom, silence. And then there's Murphy saying, I actually know it was his son. He said, I have to let you go, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene brought me to tears when he's just
yeah, and
sobbing.
that is the sign of a great musician
Mhm.
because he could uh, make his music work with the situation in the film, and he did it so beautifully.
Yeah, he just said, wait, wait. What I took about it is, well, he wait for it, and he said, there's no music. There's just the sobbing of this human being listening to his son miles away, and probably thinking he's never going to see him again. So you
So
actually hear
great.
the pain of this human being.
Yeah.
That was intense. Anyway, so anything, Carmenita, you baby,
No,
¿qué tienes
just
que decir?
thank you very much for tonight's panel discussion and philosophical conversation. Thank you.
Thanks to Tyler too, that he was so kind to send us a video. Thank you to Estrella that even though she didn't make it,
Yeah,
she sent us a message
she's
in the morning that she got something else to do. Thank you to Mr. Tyson who accepted our invitation.
thank you to
our,
That
our,
was
our,
him.
everyone.
our lovely reporter, was conducting the interview. I love.
Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed tonight.
So we'll see you next Monday. We have another kind of movie. We'll discuss it later on. Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you.
Thank
Gracias.
you.
Muchas
It was great
gracias.
fun.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.